Let me put myself back together. Check.
All right. Oh, and Mr. Tucker, someone said feedback in the back.
Is feedback? Like still?
That might be
Also, am I supposed to allow me to get it better like that? Yeah, I need to say something. It's like the second time I'm doing this now, so thank you. It's gonna happen. Is it better now?
Yeah.
All right, you sure? All right, guys, how y'all doing? It's still the key tab, right? What if I put it like down there? We're trying to keep it. Here we go. All right. So now, for the honesty, right? Because it's high school, and up to this point, it's all been stuff. It's all been around the place. But after this, it's all on you guys. What you gonna do? You know, I asked y'all when we were on the show a minute ago how y'all feeling. You know, 11th and 12th grades, about to be November, and y'all said y'all were cool. That could be okay, but maybe that could be not okay. I mean, are you ready to graduate if you're skinny? Yes, for that feedback is bad.
You just project?
I don't need it. I was just trying to show off, you know, I've got some. I'm a big kid still. And you guys to see this. I thought this was a kind of cool video that speaks to why I'm doing what I'm doing.
That's right. Enjoy the moment. How old are you, by the way? 18. 18. Enjoy. Thank you. Enjoy. I'm going to say to you the same thing I say to every 18-year-old that I meet. You are richer than me. You have something I cannot buy. Even Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all these guys, they cannot buy it. That's right.
My name is Justin Tucker. I am a licensed school counselor. I'm the founder, creative director. I'm still working on the title, by the way, for Justice Inspired Mentoring, LLC. I'm also a DJ, a podcast. I teach on podcasting. You can find me on social media with those names, the Hip Hop Professor or Just Inspired 85. That video is really deep. Like I told you, 20 years ago, I graduated high school, class of 2004. So it's funny, I'm just starting this business. I feel like I've been mentoring all my life. But the dopest thing about it is I've come to realize I was so frustrated about just doing this stuff. I'm living off experience and just stepping into wisdom, because now I'm gonna be living off the experience that I've earned. And what's dope about this is you guys are right now in the mix of earning your experiences. What you're doing now is gonna set the trend for how you live your lives. When I'm a school counselor, I tell kids all the time, I come in classrooms, especially when you get a little rowdy, how you work now is how you work later. The kids that don't want to come to class on time, they don't go to work on time. And that's the easiest way to get fired, you know? Any questions? No questions yet? Yeah, I just want to listen. All right, but again, why am I doing this? I believe so much in our youth. I think there's a lot of negativity sometimes you guys get. I'm not gonna say sometimes you don't do your part to help illustrate and build that, but regardless, you are still children. You're still young. I wish I recognized that I was a child when I was 18. I didn't, but man, you really are. You a child till you like 25, 26, let me tell you. I just wish the world treated you that way, because they didn't treat me that way. But that's why I do this work, because I'm here to give you that support. And I believe if you have the right guidance, the right knowledge, you'll make better informed decisions and you'll have better outcomes. A lot of what makes life so frustrating is we're literally learning on the go and going through things. Imagine working your best and you fail, and come to find out, maybe if you would have known something a little bit better, you could have worked yourself maybe in better. You might not even have to work as hard to be successful. A lot of that is trial and error. And that's the essence of what you're going through right now, this experience. Even as we talk about college and career, and some of you guys are like, oh, I don't want to do no college, I'm sick of this school stuff. I think what everybody misses about this, regardless of what you choose, there is a degree of work that you're gonna have to do. There's no skipping that. This life thing does not get easier, all right? You don't work hard, you typically get less earnings, right? Less earnings means that you have less ability to buy and take care of yourself, which means that you're gonna be stressed because who wants to worry about how they're paying their bills? That's kind of the crux of what I'm trying to get to. Any questions for me yet? Before I show these definitions, I want to know, what are your opportunities after high school? Can you tell me? Somebody tell me.
College.
Raise your hand. What's your name?
Lena.
Lena. What can you do after high school?
After high school, I mean, like, yeah, college, but it's different aspects. You can do community, you can go to trade. If you don't really see yourself going for a year, you'll apply to university, you can take cars, stay here. It's like different routes.
Got you. Everybody kind of got the gist of that, right? I'm not going to waste my time to go through these definitions. You guys already know that. I didn't hear anybody say military. I was the first lieutenant in the U.S. Army. I got out just before I got captain. I think the military can be a great experience. Like a lot of things, where you fall in can sometimes change your experience. You go to a bad unit, maybe you get mistreated, you don't love the military. You go to a great unit, like I have a friend right now, he works in the White House. Like Kamala Harris, President Biden, he sees them all the time. When he was in college with me, this dude was so anti-life, so anti-everything, because it wasn't a place for him. But when he got out, he got into the military, and this guy is like night and day. If you knew, I'm not gonna say his name, if you knew this gentleman 20 years ago, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it, because that's part of the experience. So, let's talk about post-secondary aspirations. This is what college did for me. One of the reasons why I was so adamant about going to college is I'm from Southside Jamaica, Queens. That means a lot to me. But when I was 11 years old, my father decided that he did not want to raise 3 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. He wanted to put us in a house. And the best house he could find happened to be 60 miles out east in Medford, Long Island, in a community called Gordon Heights. I was very upset about that. Being in the Bronx, being in Queens, I could get to my grandmother's house in 15 minutes just taking the train. And I'm really close to my grandparents. At that time, I happened to have 2 sets. My grandfather actually lived in the same housing projects as my grandmother. In New York City, a lot of us live in what's called housing projects, where you have a bunch of buildings all grouped together. You could have literally 1,000 people in a community space just like this, because the buildings are going all the way up, you know? That's why there's so many people there. But anyway, we made that move out there. When I was in Queens, I started in a talented gifted school. When I got out of that talented gifted school, I moved into the regular public school system, and I had to repeat first grade. Man, so I had to restart first grade. I also have 2 master's degrees, y'all. I got my master's degree from University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill School Counseling. Also got my first master's degree from the University of Stony Brook in higher education administration. And I spoke at that graduation, and they paid me to do it. Okay. Not bad for somebody that got left back in first grade, because it's not how you start, it's how you finish it. I'm not done yet. But anyway, going out to Long Island, I always felt like not in place. I was cool out there. I had friends out there. I still got friends out there. I got family out there, but Long Island's not my home. New York City, Queens is my home. That's where most of my family is. That's where I felt authentic. In Long Island, I was always, you know how if any of y'all came into a new high school, so it was kind of different. But imagine if you moved to a new high school in 11th grade. Everybody's been friends already, so every time you come into a group, it's like, what's up? But y'all were already friends. I'm never really gonna be an Avenger. I'll rock with y'all, but it's always Spider-Man at the end of the day. That's how I felt until I went to college. And as you see this picture, we're all still friends to this day. The only ones that are not still friends with us is because we buried them. They're not here anymore. But we're all still friends to this day. Tell you something deeper, one of those boys, his son is in college right now. So I said, bro, it's like life is really going to repeat. Your son is in his first semester right now, just like we were 20 years ago. So it's real. But those are my brothers. I talk to some more than my own family. A lot of them say the same. And I wouldn't have got that if I didn't go to college. I knew that. What drove me was I was looking at my community. Gordon Heights is not as rough as Baltimore, but don't get it twisted. It can get wild over there because a lot of people on Long Island feel like people don't respect Long Island. So they got that chip on their shoulder. I knew that if I stayed there, things weren't going to end well for me. I needed to get away. So I told my parents as far as possible. I was going as far away as possible. One of the things that helped me is that my parents, they didn't graduate, but they started college. My mom dropped out when she had me. She tried to continue with my younger brother, but couldn't. My father had kids before me, my older brother and sister. He dropped out his senior year to raise his family. So I took that upon myself. Any questions? I feel like I just kind of told y'all my story on why I want to go to college. Is there anyone here that wants to go to college? Everybody? For real? Dang, that's what's up. The reality is, you go in a lot of spaces and a lot of people are nah. So it kind of changes even what I'm prepared to talk about. But let's talk about what college you're looking for. Think about this, guys. Your GPA is going to tell me if you're doing your work on time, if you're accountable, attendance, right? Because if you're going to school, you're going to pass your classes. Do you do your homework? Test preparation, study skills. Can you persevere? Resilience. Before your teacher came here, school counselor came here, remember I told you guys I had a rough day, but I was like, it didn't matter, I was coming here. Because in my 39 years, I have a great amount of experience in resilience. I know how to come back from things. Whenever I'm counseling people, I tell them, up to this point, you do realize you have survived the worst moments in your life. So why are you putting yourself down now? Let's play ball, baby. Next to that, we see payment history, credit utilization, length of credit history, mix of credit types, recent applications. That's the basis of what you call credit scores. As adults, that kind of rules your life. The higher your credit, the more access to money and ventures you get. The lower your credit, the less access. I'm telling you this because your GPA is the same way. Higher GPA, more access to scholarships, great programs. Lower GPA, lower access. Doesn't mean you still can't make it. Your road just becomes that much more difficult. It's like, are you gonna walk or are you gonna ride? But we're still gonna go somewhere. Any questions so far? You guys got that? Okay. Again, your credit score is adult GPA.
Defined as what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to get done, do the right thing, the right way, the right time, all the time. I'm talking about self-discipline. We answer hundreds of questions every day that come down to these two things. Here's something I know I'm supposed to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? And then over here, there's something you know you're not supposed to do, but you want to do it. Can you keep yourself from it? If you can make those choices and decisions the right way, you're always going to be able to stay on the path to accomplish the goals. We're talking about feeling versus choice. You're going to do what you feel like doing, or you're going to choose to do the things you need to do to be successful. And there's a difference in that. Discipline defined.
You guys know who that is? I can't think of his name right now, but he's one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. He coaches at Alabama. I'm not that big of a college football guy. I just know college basketball because I got UNC Chapel Hill. More importantly, he knows about discipline because every year when he goes to people's homes and recruit their kids, he tells them, you want to go to the NFL? I'm your ticket. The NFL knows me. Every year, boys go to Alabama and they know in 4 years, I'm going to the pros if I do what I'm supposed to do. And if you're not, he's going to get rid of you because he cuts kids left and right too.
Nick Saban?
Nick Saban. That is Nick Saban. All right? And when you hear anybody, any of the elites, anyone that's made it, do you guys watch documentaries?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Yeezus one yet? Yeezus, you know Kanye? It's not called Yeezus. What was it called? It's called Yeezy. I'm sorry. But anyway, that's a great documentary. If you watch that documentary, you'll see Kanye West when he's just literally like an intern at Rockefeller Records, and he's showing them the same songs that you all know as Grammy Award-winning hits. He's trying to get them to listen to it, and the girl's like, yeah, whatever, I'll get back to it later. The point is he had to keep on pushing. He had to be disciplined. All right? And that's what you all need to do to get to whatever you want. One of the reasons why I do this is because I feel like some of y'all don't realize how much potential you really have. If your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming enough. Go back to sleep. Your dreams should scare you. Let me tell you something. When I went to college in 2004, I wanted to be a sports agent. I was working at a Kinko's. They keep cash in my pocket. Agents would come in and out of that Kinko's. And you know what I started doing? I started talking to them. I'm from New York. We know to get forget. We got to do that. I tell people to get forget keeps you safe. You know how to talk to the right people at the right time. I talked to this one agent over and over again. He started taking a liking to me. Invited me to his office. He came to my school. We were trying to do something together. By the time I graduated, though, I was looking for a job. And remember, I didn't have a lot of mentorship, a lot of guidance. My parents went to college. They didn't graduate. When you start to obtain knowledge, when you start to get to a point where the people around you, you exceeded, it's hard sometimes to take that mentorship from them because you're now looking at life from a perspective that they can't see. Some people call that arrogant. Some people can be sympathetic or empathetic to the fact that you're just in a different place. You need to find leadership that can see that. That's when you find somebody that's a little older than you. They can see more as well. But anyway, I'll tell you this because when I graduated, I came to his office and he wanted me to come on as his intern, to be a sports agent, my dream, you know? But the problem was he wasn't trying to pay me. And I was like, what? This is 2000. So I'm like, I'm a black man. I just graduated college. That you mean I'm getting a job for free? Bro, I did everything I'm supposed to do. What you mean? I've not been arrested. I got my degree on time. I'm entitled to something at this point now. The reality is nobody's entitled to anything. Looking back, if I was mentoring Justin back then, I would have told him, Justin, you need to go to law school, take out the loans, and you're going to work with Mr. Levy while you're going to law school to get your law degree. Because by the time you graduate, you'll be a lawyer, and Mr. Levy will have you around so many of those athletes that you've been building that friendship with. You're going to graduate with that degree, and you're finally going to have the big job. Not to mention the relationships that you'll make along the way will keep money in your pocket. And you're doing what you're supposed to do, and if it's the right thing, and you're walking in the light, like, I'm not saying what you want to do is something wrong, just to get a quick skip, to get it back. Got tongue-tied there. To get a quick buck scheme. But if you're doing something that's right, like mentorship, like I'm literally doing this because I care about you and I want to help you go forward. This is the right thing to do. So as long as I'm doing things that are inspiring, people and things are going to make a way for you. You just have to go out on a little faith. And that's scary, I know. It's like jumping in the water. But people swim, right? So you can jump in the water. Any questions so far? Y'all never gonna ask questions? I mean, I appreciate how obedient you guys are, but still. All right, back to the qualities colleges look for. The GPA, we know, is the biggest buck right there. That's about 75%. Then there's test scores, your character and activities. Now, 20 years ago, when I was in your shoes and I'm looking to get in college, these two things really helped me out. Because my GPA did not reflect who I was. Remember, as we talked earlier, I started at a talented gifted school, then I went to the city school. And it was kind of rough for me, meaning the rigor dropped. I didn't apply myself as much. I got bad habits that I carried all through high school. Matter of fact, I don't believe I started studying until I went to grad school. That was my third time. I've been to grad school 3 times, because the very first time I went, flunked out of that too. I didn't know how to act. I went in there and I just thought I could wing things, but learn from my experiences, and I got better. And that's a costly experience, by the way, flunking out of grad school. So when I was in high school, my mother raised me in Amy Zion Church, so I was usher. That was some of my activities. I also participated in a lot of different activities in school. There was an organization called Skills USA Vicar for vocational activities and things. I was the vice president for my school, which would give me a scholarship of $20,000, sent me to Johnson and Wells. Something heartbreaking came up for me in high school. I wanted to go to UNC Chapel Hill as an undergrad, but I found out my GPA my senior year. To get into the UNC, you need to have like a 4.0, acing your SATs, all that, and I was nowhere near that kind of condition to get into that kind of school. But I couldn't be mad at nobody because I didn't prepare for it. And I really couldn't be mad at myself because I didn't know any better. Now I know better. And that's why about 15 years later, I got into UNC and I did my thing. Any questions?
When you say test scores, are you specifically talking about?
Yeah, so I didn't really want to take those tests. So I only took the acting to get to Johnson. They told me that we don't need it, but if you take it, they gave me like another $5,000 just for doing it. So I took that for that. I don't even remember what my scores were. I might have been 20 something. I don't know what that means.
But just something to think about, especially post-COVID, a lot of schools go test optional. And students think, oh good, I ain't got to worry about my test score. But if you're not sending your scores, that means the rest of your application better be on point. Because you need to stand out from the rest of the students, especially those who are sending their test scores. So definitely into some of those other areas of how you can boost your application if you choose not to send your test.
No, it's always going to just benefit us.
It's going to benefit because you have to give them enough stuff to say all these great things about you. College admissions, all it is a competition, right? They only have X amount of seats in their freshman class every year. You're trying to figure out the best ways you can stand out from the next person that's applying to that school. And especially trying to get some of that money that they have too. It doesn't necessarily hurt you because they're test optional, but you just got to make sure your college essays on point. You know, making sure your GPA is where you think it should be. Yes.
And also, it's like you take the SAT again, even if you do better than the first time, it's consideration.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That goes back to showing rigor, resilience, absolutely. And I'm not knocking the test. I just knew for me, 20 years ago, taking those tests is going to give you great opportunity to get scholarships. And there's a lot of money out there. So if you put the work out there, you put yourself in the best position to get that. And are you guys looking at scholarships already?
Yeah.
You should, because there's been a lot of money that's already gone out. I do a video every month on Instagram, and I read for like 10 minutes of scholarships. I think I read about $500,000. There were scholarships that you could have gotten in middle school, and I think some are about to expire this month. You had your hand up in the back. Did we get you? I was an usher in church for about 10 years. I got a community scholarship from being active in my community. So I had a lot of those things that kind of spoke on my behalf too. I believe I had great referrals from my teachers. I had a lot of teachers that liked me. I always tell my students, you have to use the power you have. You come to school and give somebody a hard time, do you really think one day they're gonna come back and give you a good time? No. But if you give people a good time, they're gonna look out for you. Generally, people want to do something for you. They want to help you. It's you doing something to take that energy away. There's always going to be what I like to call the offshoot, right? Like nothing's 100%. There's always going to be that percent that's going to go off. So, but I'm telling you, in general, people want to help you. All right? Think about it like that. Any more questions? Okay. So, since you guys are talking about college, why are we going to go to college?
I don't know about you, but when I woke up
this morning. Somebody told me you don't have to lose. You don't have to be defeated. You can change.
No, but seriously, college was a complete change for me. I remember when I came home my freshman year, and at that point, I still had a lot of those relationships from high school. People talked about, like, yo, look how different I started weight training, so I got a lot bigger, got more confident, just had a lot of social experiences. I was in Miami, by the way. Miami in 2004. But let's talk about why are we going to college, right? So my father, still alive, kicking in there. He worked for the Long Island Railroad. He was a train engineer. Really hard work, though. Every single day. He had to work overtime. At one point, he was working 2 jobs. When he bought the house in Long Island, he worked on the Long Island Railroad and the post office. He helped my older sister go to law school. Hard-working man. What I saw growing up, I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want to have to work that hard to provide. I love what my dad did to this day. It's such a blessing. I'm so privileged to have a man in front of me like that, but I wish he didn't have to work so hard. I really didn't, because I think all children want our dad around us. I tell him, you know, when I was younger, I remember coming home from work, playing basketball with him, but over the years, as he got older, that started to wear him down. My father was known in the community. He was a coach. He spoke really well. I think about it, that's not probably what my dad really wanted to do, but my dad needed to provide for his family, so he did what he had to do. And what I said to myself was, I'm not going to do what I have to do. I'm going to live this life doing what I want to do. I dedicated, and to this day, I've been dedicated to living this life my way and doing whatever I got to do to stand 10 toes down on that, okay? So I say that because we look at the value of earnings. I've been working since I was 14. My first job was with the Brookhaven cleanup crew. I was just cleaning up garbage in the streets to help clean the neighborhoods. But less than a high school diploma, you see, and that's about $344,000. This is looking at lifetime earnings in Baltimore. I did some research. The right side of that scale, you're gonna see 40 years. The left side, you're gonna see average annual. Who's good at math here?
You trying to get the monthly?
Exactly.
Yeah, monthly.
I want to show you guys what the monthly income is. You need to know what your monthly income is, because that's going to determine how much you can afford to live by. You got car insurance, your gas, your groceries, your light bill, your internet, your phone bill. Oh, and I know you want to have fun. Your entertainment. If you have children, the point of it is $25,000. You will have none of that. You're going to have to live with somebody. You're not going to be able to live by yourself. You're not going to find anything. When I came out of college, I was probably around this figure. That was like 10, 15 years ago, and also inflation looked a lot different. I've always had my first apartment on my own. I've had roommates, but right now I'm able to live on my own. Master's level. So you guys see that, and you're willing to work for that, right? Do you guys want to go to grad school?
No.
You know what? I've always had wanted to do this. How many of you want to go to grad school? I hear some interesting statements there. You say you can make more money if you go to grad school. Yes and no. Only if you're doing what you want. And while this is true, the more education you have, the greater your earnings are. Like me, I have my own business, and I can run it efficiently because I have so much knowledge to do so. If I was in high school, I couldn't do that. I'd have to pay somebody to give me the knowledge to do that, and that would cost. When I was at the bachelor's level, I probably could still move that way. But again, you have more opportunities. When you go to apply for jobs, there are more jobs looking for somebody with at least a bachelor's degree versus just a high school diploma. You might have the skill set. You might be the greatest person for it, but you don't have the credentials. And this is why I push college. It gives you more credentials, which gives you more experience. There's so much more to college than just the classes and the job. It's a really good experience if you take advantage of it. Any questions on these earnings? Yes.
So when you were making $45,000, were you living comfortably and like was you stuff that you like?
For the most part, I had roommates. I was kind of frugal and I was thrifty. I knew how to stretch a dollar. The cost of living wasn't what it is now. $20 could take somebody out on a pretty nice day. $20 is almost my own place. Like rent now, everybody's paying probably over $1,000 for rent. You know, 10, 15 years ago, you might have been able to find something for like 8, 7. That's not really happening now. And with roommates, that gets cheaper. Any questions about money? I love talking about money. I feel like you guys don't get enough conversations about money. You need to.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, let's talk about money.
Obviously, when you get your job and all of that,
I don't know what kind of job you get.
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like, well, like me specifically, I'm interested in learning. So
Good. I love that you said that. I want you to get to this point. One of the reasons why I love that I got my degree in education, I can always work in education. I can do this till I die. I mean that. I love doing this. I'm always happy here. I'm happy when I'm not here. And I have a business now, which means I have the opportunity to always have 2 revenue streams. That means that I have money coming in both ways. Because doing this work, I'm not, this I did pro bono, love y'all, but typically, you know what I mean? I'll get paid to do this, but I'm also working somewhere. It means I have a paycheck coming in. And when you live like that, your money changes. Because one job can pay for all my bills, what I can do with the other money? You save and invest, and then you buy nice things every now and then, or prepare for the future. Grow and do more things. That's how you get to travel and live those extravagant lives. And if you're really smart, you find a way to get yourself money doing both. Okay? Any questions? Yes, I still have to. Oh, I'm never dishonest. I like you guys, man. Any other questions? But debt is not always a bad thing. Student loans, all right? That's not always a bad thing. I use my student loans, for example, when I first went to UNC, wanted to give myself a mental break. I didn't go to school. So I took student loans out to cover the cost of my rent and living expenses. So yeah, it sucks to have all that money out, but looking back at it, I needed that break. And that's what it costs, you know? Breaking intergenerational poverty. You guys know what poverty is? Somebody tell me what poverty is. When you're in poverty, your paycheck ain't doing enough. You live paycheck to paycheck, at least you can get to the next paycheck. But the reason why I always share this one is, look at this. Less than a high school diploma, you have a 31% chance of being under poverty. But the more education you have, the lower it goes down. Want to know why? Because there's opportunities. Mr. Tucker, you ain't got a job with 2 master's degrees and military experience. What are you talking about? You just lazy. There's an opportunity. You have to go look for it. It may be hard to find. I will be honest. Sometimes it's challenging. But remember, nothing worth having in life comes easy. So it's always going to be a challenge. When you're going through a challenge, you got to get your mind started thinking something great's happening. That's what this is. Volunteering. Civic engagement. Hence me right here in front of you. The more education you have, the more willing you are to do this. Why? Because you see the value in it. Ironically enough, my parents, they didn't graduate from college, but they had some college, and they were civically involved. That's why I learned about the Civic Association. My dad was a coach. He helped change the fields in the community. Any questions about civic engagement? This is another word for volunteer is just the person or volunteer of an organization. All right? But guys, when you think about this college process, if you haven't already, and don't put that pressure on yourself. If you haven't, it's okay. It's never too late. I still message my mom like, you can still go back. I was working with a woman at the beginning of the school year. The woman is the same age as my mom. She even has the same amount of kids. And I told my mom, this lady is like you. Imagine if you would have completed school and been working that whole time, and I would have watched you when I went into education. I would have come in with more knowledge. Maybe I'd be a principal right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm a superintendent. Who knows, right? Because I'll be living off that instead of doing it for the first time myself. But guys, don't get caught up on the money. I'm going to tell you why. Because 20 years ago, I have to get this on camera. When I was sitting in your seats, I thought about education, and I looked at the earnings, and I said, heck no. But the truth is, I wanted to do it. I thought being a school counselor was so cool. I feel like it always reminds me of just sitting on the block and talking with your homies, that consultation, but doing it on a professional level. So I love that idea. But like I said, initially, I looked at the earnings, and I was like, nah, man, I don't want that. I don't want to get the bank. I want to do this and that. And I wanted to go into sports, which I did, some dope things there. But that's where my heart was. You know, if I would have gotten a job working in the NBA or something, yeah, I probably would have enjoyed the moments. What I'm trying to tell you is there would have been days where I'd have not been as happy as I am here. I had the endurance to get through a whole school year. I'm with y'all. So I guess what I'm trying to preach to you is find something that you feel that passionate about. And that's going to help you build this process. When you know what you want to do, it's easier to look at school. I heard somebody talking about nursing, and you mentioned top 5 programs. It's easy to look at nursing now because you know what you want. You want to be in the best programs. You got 5 to look at, right? But if you just were looking at college, there's colleges all over the world. That could be really, really overwhelming. But all them schools ain't for you. The nursing schools are for you because that's what you want to do. I don't mean to sing you out like that. And I'm not sure if it was you, actually. I'm just, you making eye contact with me, so I'm doing that, you know? Oh.
Because you said to follow what you want to do, even if what you want to do pay that much, like how do you make that work? Like,
That's what I'm doing now.
Can you repeat that question? So,
I guess what you want to do doesn't make a lot of money that you make. It's like,
question is, what do you do
The most traditional way is we work extra jobs. Try to find something that's not gonna stress you out as much depending on your situation. Some people start a business. As a mentor, that's one thing I always instill in everybody. Get your hobbies. What are your hobbies? Whatever your hobbies are, let's look at that. For example, I DJ. I have top flight equipment in my house. I'm doing a Sweet 16 this weekend. I'm getting some money for that. Playing my music and playing with my lights. I'm gonna do it for some kids and their family. And I got some change for that. That's a business. Funny enough, some people DJ for a living. I want to be an educator for a living, but I can moonlight as a DJ. I also podcast. If you hit that right, that in itself can make a whole living for you. So for me, I supplement myself with things I'm passionate about to see what they do for me. I used to work at a bank because my dad was like, finance, get the money. You need to make 6 figures. And he's right. But I was miserable in the bank. I was making really good money and the opportunity was there, but I was miserable. Getting off work with the tie loose. If you know me in the neighborhood, you know I get out my truck, I'll be hyped with my suits on. Because I love what I did at the end of the day, even if I'm having a bad day. It's what I wanted to do, I put myself there. When you have bad days and you didn't want to be there, ooh, that's hard. That's really hard. And I mean, and it's just like the athletes, right? They get their contract and then they get endorsements. That's what makes them rich. So we got to do the same thing. We get our main job and then you find your additional revenue streams. The key though is to find a hobby and make that a business. Okay?
Back to the volunteer work, do you have any guidance when it comes to, at what point am I being taken advantage of, and at what point am I taking the necessary steps to be in the circle that I'm in?
I'm honored to answer this for you because I wish somebody would have answered this for me like 16 years ago now. Not all opportunities are going to be paid. Sometimes you got to know in yourself. This is when you got to know. Sometimes you'll get the 1 in a million moments. I'm going to tell you something about Mr. Levy. Mr. Levy represents Mike Tomlin. At that time, he also represented Raheem Morris. And he negotiated their contract, so he wasn't a regular agent. It was a big deal. We were on a first-name basis, and he was like, Justin, I'm thinking about getting into basketball, baseline sports. I had just finished an internship with the Miami Heat. Like, I knew Dwayne Wade. I should have figured out how to do it. I should have dug in deep. Grandma, help me out. You know, whatever it takes. You guys watch movies, watch the TV shows. You see these people struggling. This is real life. I was telling my friends, there's a TV show about the Lakers, about how the organization got started. The first season goes through Jerry Buss, his struggles to get that team. He was literally about to lose everything. Like his house, his everything. He was dead broke. He was betting on winning that championship to secure his loan. But he did. Pursuing your dreams, that's what you have to do. If I would have volunteered with that guy, who knows? Maybe I'm running agent for half the NBA right now. Maybe I'm with Rich Paul. I don't think that's my story.
Do you have any suggestions or tips?
Absolutely. So how I approach Mr. Levy? Kinko's is a place where you make your copies. I would just ask him, hey sir, you got a moment? He'll give it to me if I'm fine. Typically, yes. And then just be honest. Come from the heart. You can't fake that. If people feel that, come from the heart. And have some intention. Like, why do you want to intern? If you know your why, then you can come from the heart and talk to somebody. I could tell them why I want to intern. So I'm going to college to be a sports agent. It's a dream. When I see you here every day, I wonder if maybe you have any opportunities for a young man that's really ambitious to potentially take under and assist with. And he loved that. Potentially gave me the opportunity. I didn't take it. That's on me. Any other questions? These are good questions, by the way. Once you know what you want to do, that's what you're going to base your school choices on. Make a list of your top choices. Gather information about the admission requirements. Attend college fairs, information sessions, and learn about each school. I see you guys talking about the HBCU college fair. Go on that tour. When I was in high school, my parents wanted me to go on that tour so bad. I'll be honest. I told my parents I feel like I'm all my life, you know, between Southside, Queens, the Bronx, Harlem, and Alpharetta Heights. And I was kind of struggling with my identity a little bit, I'll be real. I had an experience in my freshman year of high school that started to mess with my identity. I told my parents I didn't want to be in an all-black environment anymore. I wanted to prepare for the world, and the world was not only black. That was ignorant of me. But I was a kid, I didn't know any better. My parents were loving, and they were going to push me, but they told me they were devastated. We wanted you to go on that tour. But I didn't understand the whole HBCU experience. I just knew my blackness. But over the years, going to different HBCUs, my frat brothers, even working with some of them and seeing the experience, I highly recommend it because when I said, remember how I told you guys I didn't have that mentorship? I believe HBCUs would have given me that mentorship. So, any other questions? All right.
And then what does it take to do what you want to do and then do that and don't stop until you get there? That's success. Anybody tell you different is lying.
That's a fact. If you need me, you can go to justifyguys.com. That's my website. I designed it myself. Learn how to code. That's my company. Just Inspired Mentoring. Hope you guys enjoyed my college and career readiness presentation. Can help along your way though.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tucker, for your words of wisdom for us today. We appreciate you coming in. Absolutely. All right, real quick. This is the application that I couldn't find for last month's meeting.